Finally, a ginger with a soul. Andre Cordova.
Producer of all things rock and metal, Redcurl.
And welcome to Sabotage. Hi, Shawn.
Hello.
Nice to see you here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We're here today to talk producers. We're also here to talk about your role in Melrose Avenue. And you as a dude guy.
Me as
guy
a dude
who does
guy.
things, yeah.
A ginger. That's me. Well, in Australian terms, it's ranga.
Yeah.
Ranga.
As a orangutan.
Ranga. Can we say cunt? Fuck yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we can swear.
Oh, well, yes, though you're probably the second straight guy that I've had on the podcast.
Really?
And there are certain things that straight guys can't quite get away with saying.
That's
the
true.
same way that the gays do.
It's true, as we saw earlier. Absolutely. We cannot say certain words.
It just comes off aggressive from you guys.
Absolutely.
It's weird.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's true. It's true.
So you're a producer.
I am.
How long have you been a producer for?
I don't know, maybe 3-4 years. So I'm pretty new to the game. I've been writing songs since I was like 15.
Yeah.
Loved Nickelback
Nice.
so much, and like that kind of like gave me like a good like stepping stone, learning how to write music and whatnot. I got into like the heavier side of music when I was, I think, 26. I just started trying to record myself. One thing led to the next, and here we are.
So was there anything that particularly inspired you to get into the music production side?
I guess when I listened to these bands that I really like, I just really wanted to like be able to create a sound like them, create something unique at the same time. One thing like with my production, I like to do things that are different.
Love that.
In its own way, like it's still very like, you know, straightforward, and I kind of write like it's pop.
Okay.
It's a very simple but still complex in a way.
Like your signature style sewn into it?
Yeah, I would say. In a way.
Do you reckon that people could hear tracks you produce?
Yeah, I think so. Like I remember a friend of mine said when I showed him the most recent Melrose Avenue tracks that he was like, it sounds like, you know.
It sounds like you.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you. It's got the America sound to it, but, you know, it's your flavor, it's your writing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's definitely been the case with my music now, I think. Similar situation. You'd be like, yeah,
Totally.
that makes sense.
Do you like your voice? Like, do you like hearing your voice and your singing voice?
I do.
You do?
I didn't used to.
Really?
Well, because most people, when they start out recording and stuff, like, they often don't like hearing themselves. It's very jarring because when you hear yourself, it's not how you sound in your head, right? So having that played back to you is...
It's strange. Plus, when you sing, you're using different muscles.
Yeah.
In your voice, because I've heard a lot of people who like talk way different to how they sing.
But with those, I know a lot of artists, or I've seen a lot of artists who sing in cursive.
What do you mean?
They deliberately add this weird inflection to their voice when they sing so that they sound unique. Because they can totally sing normally and sound like themselves. Yeah. But because that wouldn't make them interesting enough because they're just basic bitch cis white person.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's overdone. It's a very indie artist thing, and you see it all the time.
Like who? Give me an example. Let's put someone on the spotlight.
There's at least a couple that you would know that I'm not gonna like.
Okay.
I'm not gonna name drop them here. I'm not gonna give them that free clout.
All right, no,
but
sweet.
They very deliberately make their voice sound kind of fucked when they sing. And I'm just thinking like, I can't understand a word you're singing because you're putting that much emphasis on creating this like fake accent. It's super weird. But that's what I mean by singing in cursive.
Interesting.
Whereas I sing like myself, but I have a unique voice already. So that's not something I need to embellish or exaggerate.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. That's cool. I fucking love my voice. I really do. I listen to it. I'm like, fuck yeah. That's what that's what I was like, I wanted to hear when I was a kid, is that like I've developed for such a long time to get to this stage. And lately I was actually talking to Greg about this, is that like, you know, Chad Kroger's been a big influence of mine, and I kind of draw a lot of like how I sing from him. and then other artists as well. But at the same time, because he's kind of known for that gritty, like, how the hell, you know, like that gritty voice. But it's, when you listen to it properly, it's actually not that gritty in certain times and certain moments to like accent things.
It's like more controlled, which is, I guess, the mark of experience and talent and skill.
Exactly.
Especially when you really analyze some of the singers that you listen to, you just pick up on those details.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the song stand out further.
Totally.
And I'm like, damn, like that's pretty sick.
Do you have anyone that's like your like you grew up listening to them and they're like your all-time?
So I had my favorites. They change over time. You know, your music taste expands and grows and stuff. But like as a teenager, I was an angsty teen and I was a big Avril Lavigne fan.
Really?
Yeah, so cool. I still love her stuff.
Cool.
Like
that Love Sucks album was so cool.
Yeah, that's why I did an EP with 4 of the tracks from Love Sucks. Like
true.
Yeah.
Didn't know
and
that.
It popped off. People really enjoyed it. So
that's awesome.
You should listen to that.
Fuck yeah, I will. Shout out to that album.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting just to touch on that quickly because it had mixed reception. In my opinion, that album really went back to some of Avril's roots, but others didn't seem to think so. In saying that, people are so hung up on nostalgia that nothing's ever going to satisfy them. You know what I mean?
Nostalgia's a very, very powerful thing.
Absolutely.
20 years is enough time for something to feel nostalgic.
Yeah.
For example, like Pokemon or Transformers or something like that, you know, something from our childhood.
Exactly.
In Avril's case, I don't actually know what she started doing after Skater Boy. Yeah. I didn't really pay too much attention because I was like kind of in a different world.
Right.
But when I heard Love Sucks, I was like, this kind of feels like what Avril was.
Yes.
And should have always been. Yeah. And therefore it became exciting because that's what I knew Avril as.
Yeah.
And all these bands who kind of like, you know, change their sound, which is totally acceptable. It's just the people who started listening to them aren't used to it. And people only get 10 to 12 songs per album. So it's not that much.
Yeah. Like a normal sane artist has 10 to 12 songs per album, unless you're fucking Taylor Swift, who puts like 31 songs
I mean,
on a bloody...
Look, I looked at the global top 50 Spotify thing. That's where I kind of go to for cover stuff.
Yeah.
To like think of ideas.
Okay.
I think 40 songs were Taylor Swift.
Well, of course they were. Because this is an area that isn't acknowledged enough, where you have an artist who is so big, so popular, that it's no longer about the quality of the music because they have so many fans that their songs will do well regardless.
Look, I've seen it before, and I agree. I agree.
It's not to say that there aren't good songs in there. It's not to say that there isn't talent and everything else involved, but it does go to show that, like, okay, there's no way that all of these songs are good, but people are going to insist that they are regardless because her fan base is a cult and they have this cult mentality with this parasocial relationship with her.
I don't see that side of it. I see more the music side.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense.
And for me, like, I actually think they are pretty good songs. Like that Cruel Summer song that she put out. I don't know when it was released.
That was one of the previous albums.
Oh, like
her recent one was...
I saw the recent one. I listened to the first couple songs the other day. I was like, look, they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent. Whether she's as talented as, say, Michael Jackson, I
that kind of
really
thing,
no, but more famous because of social media.
Yeah,
I have a very good feeling that she is now more famous than Michael Jackson. However, my cousin pointed out the other day that kids in Africa knew who Michael Jackson was.
Right.
You know, he was known all over the globe.
Yeah.
Is Taylor Swift the same? Is it an internet phenomenon thing?
I'd say it's a matter of the era that we're living in because we have the internet and we have a means of connecting across countries without having to go to those countries. And naturally she does like world tours and stuff.
Which, by the way, my uncle took his kids to the other day. Apparently, it was one of the greatest live shows. 3-hour show.
I've no doubt she puts on a hell of a show. It's a case of two things can be true at once. I actually used to be more of a Taylor Swift fan, like high school as well, growing up.
Everyone's a broken-hearted teenager.
Yeah, like there was that.
You know, that's.
But I did really appreciate her songwriting. I think that's where her talent often excels. But it got to the point where she's no longer an artist. She's just a corporate entity. She's a product. She's a means to making a lot of money. That's why she can get away with putting out a ridiculous number of songs and they're all going to chart in the top, just kicking out everyone else. It'll repeatedly break records for the sake of breaking records. And it's like, well, she should just be her own category at this point. It doesn't really level out with the rest of the world because she has so much power.
It's true. I mean, she does. She really does. And it can be scary at times.
Yeah. I mean,
she's with great power comes great responsibility, baby. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're so fucking famous.
Yeah. And it's
but that's
like,
the thing is that they're so famous.
Yeah.
Their thought is how do we stop this? If come a time where Taylor is like, I just want to live a normal life, how's she gonna do that with all of this attention?
That would be interesting to see.
So they're probably thinking now long term, like 10, 20 years, she'll probably stick it out for a while.
Oh, she will.
But how do we close the book safely on Taylor Swift without tragedy?
I think they just replace her with somebody else.
And it will happen, and it's probably something that they've discussed like high in the charts. But imagine getting an email being like, "Hey, I need you to work on a Taylor Swift record.
Oh, that would be
you
crazy.
Put some keys down for a couple songs."
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you can take that anywhere in the world with you. Use it to your advantage.
I just thought her latest album was interesting.
I'll have a proper listen to it because I listened to the first couple songs.
It's not for me. I tried listening to it, and even after an energy drink, it was putting me to sleep.
Ha 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 ha. I'll have a good listen to it. I'm very keen to hear it properly. Like, go on a drive with it because I love all music, man. Especially, you know what gets me really excited? There's a couple genres, which is funk.
Really?
Like really like stanky funk. Drum and bass. I love drum and bass.
Yeah.
And metal.
Are those the genres that you specialize in, or do you keep it open for the people that you work with, the clients and artists regarding?
Yeah, totally. So my specialty is more or less like the heavier side of music.
Yeah.
So, heavier rock to metal. Also country I play a lot with. Which has been really, really fun.
Nice.
It's just like you write a good country song, it just hits you in the heart. It's a whole different environment to what I was grown up with, but at the same time I was kind of like introduced to it. I would consider Nickelback in a way country. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're essentially
Aren't there tropes with?
Greg, help me out here.
You're doing well.
He's like, what's country?
Yeah.
Isn't country fucking trucks and drinking and
I mean,
breakups and shit?
Yeah, I think there's
that's like the gist of it. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is that
those are the tropes.
Totally, but it can change, and I think it needs to change to a point.
I think country is one of the genres that people struggle to
get into.
Evolve. Not just get into it. They struggle to evolve it because I've just seen so much chronic discourse online. You had this song that popped the fuck off, and I quite like it. I don't really listen to country music, but I heard the song's called Austin by Dasha.
No idea.
So it was a viral song that is country, but you've got so many people claiming, oh, that's not country.
That's what they say about Maren Morris.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
I just think people are fucking stupid.
It's bullshit. It is in its own way. Like, you have to understand, like, people, not Andre, but people, that more country music comes out of the basis of country. So it's an expanding point for people to find new, different avenues and being able to adapt because she's not singing about pickup trucks and, singing about her Mercedes, and it's got a bit more of like a Taylor Swift vibe to it. It's still a country, like the way she sings, she's in my opinion, through and through a country artist.
Yeah.
And she, you know, came out saying like, and I don't know if this is true, but she was like, I'm done with country. People keep saying I'm not. And I'm like, dude, you're the queen of country.
Yeah.
You know?
Well.
So,
I mean, I think
maybe not. Wouldn't
Dolly be?
Yeah. To be honest, Dolly's pretty queen. Maybe
Yeah.
Princess.
Yeah.
She's. I think Marin's like, you know. I hope she keeps going. In fact,
I bet there are so many
her husband
country artists out there.
Do you know who she is? Maren Morris?
No. Well, because I'm not well versed in country artists though. So I know that it's been like a trendy genre recently because
it is. It's to be honest one of the most evolving genres around because people are not trying to evolve country as a genre. They're fusing other genres with country, and that's what's bringing it into the mainstream.
I mean, Beyonce dropped a country album. I heard her version of Jolene.
True.
Yeah.
Never heard it.
Her version, or do you not know the song Jolene?
If I hear it, I may know it.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging you, please don't take my man. No? You don't? What?
I'm pretty uneducated.
How do you not know Jolene? Jesus
Christ.
Metal. Well, anyway, you also like produce some country music, I know. That's like the apex of
it's true.
But it's interesting because that naturally invites a lot of criticism from people just because it's different with the genres that you specialize in. Is that how you became involved in Melrose Avenue?
Yes, indeed.
What's the story with that?
Indeed. Okay. I moved into this studio, Ignite Studios. I was just this metalhead who just liked writing music, and I was with a band at the time. And by the way, I must shout out because had it not been for this guy here, I would have no self-confidence with my production of music.
Really?
He's believed in me since day one, and I owe him everything. It was funny because I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, "Who would you put in your acceptance speech?" And I was like, "Greg would be one of those people." Because he's just like pushed me so far, and like when I was here, I would just send Dave demos. Dave's my manager, and I would just send him demos. I'd be like, "What do you think?" And he'd be like, "This is fucking awesome."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Yeah, I've got there's the guitars still need work and yada yada." And then more and more, like I learned about like what a producer does, and essentially when I wrote songs in my bedroom, I would naturally add production because that's what I heard in other songs.
Yeah.
And then later found out that people don't really know how to do that. And I was like, but what do you mean? Yeah. It's so much easier than writing the song. You're just adding, well, for me anyways. Yeah.
No, true. So it's like, I like that you took that extra step. You learned how it operates and you're like, okay, I want to do this myself.
Yeah.
And it gives you that skill that a lot of artists do not have.
Exactly. And like, for a while I thought of myself as an artist, and I can still kind of do in a way. I'm not like a solo artist. I'm not like, pushing my own solo music as much as my production stuff, but my band is Melrose Avenue.
Yeah.
So I pushed Dave enough that he was like, I actually have to introduce him to this guy that I've been looking after. His name's Vlado. He was like, let's write a track together.
Yeah.
And so I wrote what is now Enemy, the music to it, and then he came in, we met each other, he was sick cunt. I like this guy. He's very cool. We recorded the vocals for Enemy, and that was the start of a really, amazing adventure that I'm still going on. And we have literally only just begun.
I can tell.
Which is so cool. So that's kind of like how it all started.
Yeah.
Now we're best friends. We're like brothers.
Sweet.
We can fight. We can love each other at the same time. Well, not in that way. But
yeah.
You really all love that, wouldn't you?
Would you say that you're the brains behind the operation?
Potentially. I mean, every part of a body has to have a brain.
Yeah.
And a smile. and some pecs, some big muscles.
The face, the body.
I mean, you know, like the thing is that like I do think that Vlado, me, and Mitch are very much a team. Like we operate, we all have roles that we fill. And, you know, Vlado, being Vlado, the singer he is, he's grown up very much in a pop background.
Yeah.
That has been really influenced into our music, whereas I've been growing up on a heavy background. And so we fused the two together to make pop metal.
Nice.
Or, as people are calling it lately, baddycore.
Baddycore? I've heard of Barbiecore.
It's essentially thirst trap metal.
Oh.
Am I not supposed to say that?
Thirst trap metal just because...
I just heard the term. Artists that are considered baddycore at the moment, and they are...
Do you know Scene Queen?
What's that?
She's a sick artist. She does like
heavy
metal
stuff?
She does
Really?
heavy stuff, yeah. I'll have to show you
I'll
some
check
of
it
her
out
music
for
after
sure.
this, because I would love to create a track like she
That sounds
does.
crazy.
But that's where I got the Barbiecore term from, because she's like this...
Barbiecore?
Yeah, she's like this blonde, like dresses in pink kind of girl, and then she does like screamo shit.
Oh,
and
that's
like,
cool.
Yeah, she's so cool. And she's collaborated with Set It Off
I've heard of Set
a
It
few
Off.
times.
Heard
Yeah.
of Set It Off. Aren't they Australian?
Are they? Something tells me they're American. Just because like
Probably.
with the accents and stuff when they're singing,
Yeah,
like,
I may be thinking of someone else.
Yeah.
Probably.
But you're saying?
There's two bands doing it at the moment. There's Sleep Token,
Okay.
and they're like very sexy music.
Right.
Do you like that? You know, like it's very sexual, and the girls love it,
Yeah.
and they're considered kind of baddycore at the moment. Then there's Bad Omens, but like what we kind of like go as is like pop metal,
Yeah.
because like
That makes sense.
we're fusing the two together. We've got breakdowns, but we've also got like hooky choruses. I think we've like really like honed in on that on our new EP that we're going to be releasing soon.
Oh, when's the EP coming out?
Don't know yet, but it is
So unprepared.
It is almost done. It's very close to being finished.
Speaking of completed projects, my album Perfect comes out in 2 weeks from now.
Hey,
My album drops on the 17th of May, which happens to be my birthday. And with the album being called Perfect, it makes sense.
'cause I'm perfect.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
So, and speaking of birthdays, yours is like 2 days
2
after
days
mine?
afterwards. Can't wait. 30-30.
Really?
30-30.
I never considered how old you might be.
I could have been like 50,
I would have believed it.
probably. Probably.
Nah, not quite. I would have believed, like, you know what? Let's not go there. I'm like, I just remembered.
It's
like,
crazy because
I was like, you're a guest.
if I shaved, you'd be like, dude, you look 25.
Yeah, you look like a child.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I keep the beard.
Yeah. So you've almost finished this EP then.
It's very close.
Nice.
It's very, very close. I'm so keen for the future of this band. It's just been...
Yeah, you guys have been popping off.
Thank you. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see how many people are like just jumping on board like very, very, very quickly. TikTok and Instagram have really, really helped us, and the boys doing their job. Our one song, Suffering, which is actually blown up so much, does about 13,000 a day.
Yeah.
Which is it's pretty impressive for an unsigned band who's literally been together for 2 years. But, you know, the good thing about Melrose Avenue is that, again, everybody's got their role, everybody's got their place.
Well, speaking of which, how do you feel about having that less featured role in the band? You're kind of the guy behind the curtain, you know?
Well, I mean, like, I feel like I shine in different ways, you know? Greg just goes...
He's like, sure you do, buddy. Oh my God.
You know, it's like...
Well, because most producers create the track and pass it along, but you're an integral part of Melrose Avenue.
it's different.
So
it's different. So it's like, it's...
I would hope that people recognize and credit you accordingly. you know, because you'd
be surprised.
Yeah. Well,
you'd be very surprised.
I don't think I would be.
That's fair. It happens. You know, that's the gist of being like a producer, but like
role. Yeah.
The thing is that like I play a heavier part in that as well. I'm not just producing the music. I'm also writing it.
Yeah.
You know, and Vlada comes in with his top lines, and then he comes in and, you know, also contributes to the music, and then, you know, Mitch has got his part as well. But when it comes to like Forefront and what they do, they're exceptional at it. It just feels like a snowball effect.
It is.
Problem with the snowball is that it goes downhill. We don't want that. But the concept still remains.
Yeah.
So, but what was the question?
I don't know. You're as white as snow, I guess.
Yeah.
You're very white for a white guy.
I am a fucking white dude, that's for sure. I am too white sometimes. I've actually considered what I'd look like as a tanned, like if I got fake tan. I reckon I would not look good.
I agree.
No, he's being truthful, and I appreciate it.
Trust me, there's a lot of white people who should not be doing the fake tan thing.
You know, drink. By the way, shout out to Brookvale.
They're not sponsoring us.
Oh. But it's
we just bought this
it's
alcohol.
Got red hair though, and it's ginger beer. And
yeah,
I'm a ginger
if you'd like to, by all means.
Why not?
If you have a social media team that exists, because the last time that like we gave a shout out to some brand of alcohol, I actually had a look online. They don't have a TikTok, they don't have an Instagram. They're fucking hopeless. But I guess it doesn't matter when you're just this like long-term established alcohol company. You don't really care about, I don't know, you have all the boomers, I guess.
Yeah.
Or you just have people who know what fucking Bacardi is. Back to the music production side. Which software do you like to use? Because
Logic.
You prefer to use Logic?
Logic.
Do you think there's any significant pros and cons associated with the options available? Like,
what do you mean?
Is there a particular reason why you prefer Logic over the others?
Grew up using it.
You're just used to it?
Yeah, Pro Tools stresses me out, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I've heard that about yeah.
Really? I wouldn't have the first idea about Ableton. So Pro Tools, I started started to study in America when I was there for the record.
Really?
With Eric, the producer.
Okay.
And it got to the point where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing on this software.
Your brain's fried, yeah.
Like I can do everything in Logic so easily, but I'm making mistakes here and there, yada, yada. So the thing is that I'm a stressed out individual constantly. So yeah. Things,
End of sentence.
Yeah.
End of, yeah.
Straight up. Straight up.
Just so everybody knows.
Straight
You're
up.
very stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
Please do not approach.
Yeah. Unless you got money. Oh, no.
I like that.
No.
I'll take it. I'll take the money.
No, I shouldn't say chocolate, but... or a guitar. Give me guitars. I like guitars.
On average, what's the turnaround time for you to produce a track?
Interesting question. And the answer varies.
Oh, I know it does.
It takes me about a day to 2 days to turn a production around.
Okay.
On average.
Yeah. Because this leads into my next question, which is, how often do you come across artists who walk in completely unprepared? Like they might have this general idea for a song and expect you to fill in the blanks.
No comment. More than you know. But you know what? We work in a really, really good studio. So there aren't many artists who will come in. But to be honest, a lot of them, you talk to them about their vibe and they don't expect much. They're kind of working with you to create the product. Because if someone comes in, I'll start from scratch with them.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes I get given already written songs and they
work
want
around
production on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends on the project.
Everyone's different, but at the same time, I've known and seen a lot of artists or bands who are just so disorganized and they can't communicate with each other. They don't come to the studio recording session prepared. When it's like, okay, you could have done this before. You don't need to figure it out while you're here. You should be ready to start when you arrive.
Totally. No, look, I feel like there's two sides of it.
If you're working together, it's different.
If you're recording a part that needs to be identical to what you're supposed to do and they're not prepared to do that, then I agree. But
I see it more like, just to interject, like based off my own experience, I always come in prepared personally. Like, not necessarily, okay, I know exactly what I want to record and everything, but the song is written and I'm open to making adjustments and changes. I need to adapt in case what I had planned didn't work out. But I know what I've come in to do. And I think, I would hope that Greg appreciates that with like, when we work on music, I always come in knowing exactly what we're doing for the session. And it's way more streamlined. You get a lot more done. I don't know, it's just efficient.
Look, I agree. I do love that. I really do love that when someone knows exactly what they're doing. But
like they have a vision at least,
totally,
you know?
Totally. Yeah. I do like to do it as well.
Yeah.
I'm a very like hands-on, like I have vision, tunnel vision almost.
Yeah.
And so when I hone in on something, sometimes I worked with someone recently. He's a drummer. Very, very, very talented drummer. Came in to do some demos. The next day was working with someone else who happened to be in the same building. Walked into the room and saw him playing guitar. And I thought to myself, holy fuck. I didn't think once to ask the kid, hey, do you want to play this part? Because that's his injection into the song.
Yeah.
And from there, I was like, I have to be much more aware of like, or just be more like giving, because I'm so like used to taking the guitar and having to record something.
Do it yourself.
And do it because, they're singers.
Yeah.
They're artists. They're not producers, if you know what I mean.
No, I get that. And it would vary according to the approach taken when producing music, because in this case, like the example that I referenced with Greg, for this album that is coming out on the 17th, I've acquired beats from other producers and brought them in. And then we start recording vocals and we make changes and we enhance it every time. But for my debut album, Psychotic, I worked alongside a producer to make those songs from scratch.
Cool.
So I totally get like, that openness of we work on it together, but there's still an element of, well, I know what I came in wanting to do though.
That's very cool that you worked with. Who did you work with?
Dan Skeet.
Really?
Yeah, for Psychotic, yes.
Awesome.
I did a few with Greg and most of it was with Dan.
That's fucking awesome. Dan's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Dan's a great guitar player. Damn, dude.
You should actually hear my music sometime.
Send me the album.
I know
Send me the album.
Yeah,
please,
I will.
Send me the album.
I will.
What would you consider your genre of music? Like, what would you call it? Do you have like...
I finally have a genre that I would call it. You were supposed to have that.
I know. I thought it's my watch.
Damn kids with their technology.
Hang on, give me a second. Dad's pissed at me now.
Oh, lol.
You being dad. How do I turn this thing on to... Sorry, kids. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah. I struggled for a long time to decipher what it is that I do because I'm very genre diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like being pigeonholed into a box. I don't like being stuck in this little system where it's like, okay, this is the genre that you do and you don't go anywhere else. It wasn't until recently that I was like, you know what? Technically, my music can be categorized very generally under the alternative pop umbrella.
Okay.
So that is what I would describe it as now, just to be, because like before when people were like, oh, what genre do you do? I'd just be like, all of them.
True.
Because
You could be like none of them.
yeah,
Straight up.
I'm like, it's very new. It's different.
It's a cool new thing, bro.
Yeah,
I don't
you
have a
try it
genre.
sometime.
Straight up.
Yeah, literally, because I've done so much from Latin pop reggaeton to hip hop rap to like alternative pop and folk pop, pop rock, punk rock, alternative rock now, fucking electro pop, EDM. You know, I've just done
That's
a
cool.
wide range of things.
So alternative pop.
Yeah, and that's
awesome.
what it
That's
falls
awesome.
under. So
I've been actually like interested in this genre called hyperpop. I think it's hyperpop.
So I very recently have done a hyperpop track for the first time.
Oh, really?
And that's one of the new songs on the album.
Oh, sick.
So I'm going to show you that after this.
Please do.
It
just seems really like, I don't know, it's got energy to it.
Yeah. They're
It's
always like really upbeat and in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. It's very new, you know, it's popping in LA.
Really?
Massively. It's like one of their biggest genres.
Okay, I know who to target with that song.
Fucking oath.
Yeah.
Fucking oath. They love that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Even the emos.
I think what helps with categorizing my music that way too is the style of writing, because even though I am diverse with these genre endeavors, the writing is what is signature to me. Even with this hyperpop song, it's upbeat, it's a bop, and the lyrics are dark.
Fuck yeah. I love that.
Like,
That's
yeah.
sick.
But they're also very relatable.
How do you promote your stuff?
In what context?
Like, how do you get like your music out there to new people?
I mean, these days, I have to rely on social media and TikTok because the industry in this country does not like me. For whatever reason, I have my theories, and I do believe a big part of that is because I won't be stereotyped. Being a gay guy who doesn't exclusively do club cunt EDM, being Latino who doesn't exclusively do Latin music, I also create high quality music, which a lot of independent artists do not do. And it can rival those of signed artists. I know that for a fact. But it's so like different at the same time. It's still quite mainstream. I'm actually quite lovely to work with, but I refuse to be controlled. I'm quite rebellious. I am not afraid of addressing certain things or talking about things. I mean, I have this podcast, for fuck's sake, where I'm drinking on it. Majority of podcasts, I don't know any that do that. And that was like a niche in the market itself.
Fucking Elon Musk on Joe Rogan with a joint. So
that's a little different. A big part of it as well is tall poppy syndrome in this country.
What's that?
You've never heard of tall poppy syndrome? This country is very guilty of not supporting people who have talent or who excel above the rest. If you stand out, they'll cut you down. And that's what tall poppy syndrome is. Because they want you to be like the majority. They want you to be like everybody else. And I have dealt with this my entire life, which is why I genuinely did not know that I was talented until a couple years ago. I didn't know that I was really fucking good at what I do until recently, because I grew up with so much doubt and having people doubt me and put me down. It was really weird because being around musicians, going to a particular university, you're surrounded by all these singers. It's very like competitive. Musicians are naturally quite competitive. Artists are very reluctant to support each other unless they themselves are doing well. And that's another big part of why I struggle to receive support from people, because they want to wait until you are successful before they start supporting you.
That's essentially the game.
Well,
Dean Lewis, he went to America, blew up.
Yeah.
And Australia wanted him. And they didn't want him at first.
Exactly.
There was another band that it happened to where they went to the US and they became world famous, and then all of a sudden Australia were like, they were ours first.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, they weren't.
No.
They weren't at all.
And that's the thing too. There's a solid chance that in a lot of these cases, they tried to be. You know, they sought your support. I know I have. But you don't want to listen to things that are good. You like your grungy indie shit, which in some cases there are gems. Yeah, they're perfectly talented artists. But you have some fucking bangers that just need to go elsewhere to receive that attention and support because you're not willing to do it yourself.
That's true.
And it's so sad and disappointing for this country, and it's why, in my opinion, the Australian music industry is looked at as a fucking joke compared to the rest of the world. We're not taken seriously. And our big artists, even our massive artists, like Kylie Minogue, you know, she was only recognized globally on a larger scale thanks to Padam Padam. And even in America now, there are some people who still aren't quite sure who she is. And it's like, these are legends in our society and our country. It's wild to me that you can have so much going for you, but because the Australian music industry is so hung up on sticking to this like old school rock kind of shit, they reject anything new. And an example of this was Peach, PRC. She's obviously blown up online. She's doing great. She went overseas. And anytime she's featured on Australian media, people like shit on her. And it's like, okay, well, no wonder she fucking goes elsewhere. Do you see what I mean? You could accept that music is changing and that there are other fucking genres. You don't have to be into it yourself, but you could be proud of the artists that we produce, but you're not. So yeah, that was my little rant.
Interesting.
I'm just like, I've been very frustrated and I ultimately just gave up. I was like, okay, the gatekeepers in this country, my God, do they ignore me? They know that I exist. I know that they know I exist. But it's like you have to go about it a certain way or be a certain kind of person in order to receive their support. Because they have the say on which artists do the festivals and things like that. I haven't had those opportunities. I'm just like, okay, well, I need to bypass these fucking bitches and get straight to the people who will blow it up for me. And that has to be done through social media. So that's how I get my music out there, or I'm trying to. The reason I even created this podcast was to expand my outreach. Do you have any advice for any aspiring producers? Is there anything that you think people should know about being a music producer?
Be prepared to work your little tushy off. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. You need to be determined to learn, make mistakes, and that's only going to make you better. I haven't even scratched the surface of being a producer just yet. I've got a long way to go. And like, you know, I feel like we producers, we just need to do it together. We help each other learn. We help each other grow.
Yeah.
You know, artists help producers grow as well because artists give producers something to work on. You know, do your own research as well. What I like to do is I like to look at a lot of different opinions and then come to a conclusion what unanimously is kind of agreed upon, and experiment a lot, try different things, try different plugins, different doors, try working with different people, and just surround yourself with music people because, you know, the more connections that you get and the more people you meet, you know, the further you can go with what you're doing. And I truly believe that very much so.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Best of luck to everybody who's doing it, and we'll do it together.
I think we'd make a banger track together too.
Fucking oath.
Teach each other a thing or two.
Be pretty heavy, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I haven't done like that genre yet.
I just want to learn from people and, you know, try new things.
Yeah.
So that's the goal for the future, is just, you know, do more.
It's a very unforgiving industry.
And it's also like a beautiful industry.
It is, absolutely.
I get to wake up whenever I want.
Oh yeah, that's the part that I love. I
get to choose my own hours. You know?
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Working for yourself, if you can make it work.
Oh, dude.
It's wonderful.
I could not go back. But if I had to, I would, but
I can't do a 9 to 5. Look, I have an issue with authority. I can't like answer to somebody. I just can't do it. I mean,
I just feel like a desk job or something like 9 to 5 just would take the soul out of life for me.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm such a creative person that I just need to like let my juices flow in a creative space. That's why being in the studio like this lets me be just like so creative and just like,
Yeah.
I don't care about like, you know, opinions of people being like, oh, this may suck or this may suck, because like, you know, it'll be for someone.
Yeah.
And that someone could be a lot of someone's.
Absolutely. I totally get that. It's something that definitely keeps me going at times. It is a struggle. Like, it's hard being an artist. It's hard working in the music industry. Even in spite of how hard you might work, like, I don't just put it out through social media. I try and get my music on playlists and things like that. Sometimes you wonder, like, fuck, why do I bother? Just because you come across so many hurdles and obstacles, or at least you do if you're me. And yet there are times where, like, even a song that I didn't think would resonate with people really did. Like, I had this particular track off my debut album called I Hate Cancer. And the lyrics are very personal. Like, I genuinely didn't think it would apply to anybody. Outside of the chorus of being like, I hate cancer because it's fucking shit, the verses were just about my mother. I put it on the album thinking, no one's gonna get this, but that's fine. I needed to do it for me. But then I had people contacting me saying like, that song is so beautiful.
Wow.
And it means so much to me.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, it's stuff like that. Or even just when people are like, you know, this is my favorite track. I love hearing people's favorite song that you've created. It's so thrilling and it gives me such a sense of joy and like momentum. And I adore it.
I feel you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
To end our session today, do you have any personal projects in the works? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I got a cool project called Lola Girl coming out, I think, this week or next week on my birthday. Cool superhero, come from some faraway planet. She's like, I just want to record some songs. So we were like, let's do some like glam rock. So let's go back to the 80s. Let's like make something heavy that's cool. And, you know, she doesn't want to reveal her identity. So she will remain anonymous as all superheroes do.
Makes sense.
Got a number 1 last week with Gregorus.
Sick.
For Lane Pittman.
Okay.
In Aria, Australia.
Nice.
Go follow him, Greg Stace. He records all of these podcasts you're seeing.
Yes, he's the man behind the curtain for these podcasts. And he's the mixing engineer for like all of my tracks. He's really fucking good.
Shout out to the producers.
Yes, shout out to the producers. That's a perfect way to end it because I planned on doing this anyway with the release of my album, but shout out to the fucking producers of my songs, of our songs, working with us as artists. They are so good at what they do. I would not have the patience for it. So I'm really glad that there are people out there that I can work with do it for me.
No problem. Anytime, my man. Anytime. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
So this has been
Sabotage. Bye.
You can cut it.
Fuck yeah.